And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck.
Worry about my posse getting jumped. Cause if we ever do, yo, TB, pop the trunk. Cause we make a pop the trunk and hit the switch.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, dawg?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
We're Jalen and Jacoby. What do we do?
We get the people what they want.
Big show today. Thank you so much
To this day.
for listening to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast. Play it again, Reg.
To this day. To this day.
The champ is here.
WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder will be joining us later to talk about his fight with Tyson Fury last Saturday, what the future holds for him, and also we dug up some little high school dirt on Deontay that we discussed. Right now, I want to get into something else because there was so much basketball yesterday that it's not going to make the television program, but that's why we have the podcast exclusive.
Y'all ain't get me knocked out by the champ. I ain't dig up nothing from his high school.
Jalen,
Just make sure I put that on wax.
do you remember, I don't know, like 2 days ago, you know I'm die easy. I'm die easy with not just I'm die easy not just with my teams, but also my opinions.
Okay.
I was watching the Nuggets in Orlando last night, and it was a close game. It went to overtime. I was like, I don't know. Maybe they are for real.
Oh, already?
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know.
Talk about die easy.
I'm on the fence. You know, I'm just on the fence. I need some more time spent. I need some more time spent with this Denver team.
Hours.
It's been like 48 hours.
Man, this guy.
But look, they did go to overtime against the Magic. They did.
They did.
But what can you do? That game was interesting.
But here's what you can't overlook with the Nuggets dynamic. When your best player doesn't necessarily have to be a volume scorer to be effective, that unlocks your roster.
That's a good point.
And so when your center is standing at the three-point line with the ball above his head with one hand, trying to pick and choose who he's going to pass the ball to, I'm going to tell you who the Denver Nuggets remind me of. You ready for this?
Huh.
Sacramento Kings.
When
they had C-Webb and Vlade.
Oh, okay.
That's
Millsap's not C-Webb, but I see where you're going.
that's I'm talking about the style that they employ.
Yep.
They inverted their offense to cater to their best passer, their best player in Jokic, which unlocks their guard in Murray like Mike Bibby, who the strength of their game isn't necessarily to get 10 assists. It's to catch and shoot. Mm-hmm. It's to be a scorer. And it doesn't allow that guy to be so very ball dominant from the guard position.
Jokic is interesting. Like you said, he doesn't have to be a volume scorer. He scored 12 points. Like 12 points is like a mediocre rec league game for David Jacoby. You know what I mean? Like he scored 12 points, but he had 13 assists, and they weren't just assists. Like these are Rondo type of assists where he passes you open to a layup. Like he's not getting like, oh, I'm an entry pass to Millsap. Millsap dribbles 3 times and shoots a hook shot. That's the assist. Like in overtime, he passed Millsap open for a layup. Like he's just such an incredible passer and specimen when he's on the floor.
And I'm glad you brought up Millsap because his effectiveness has really been a revelation. This is what they signed him for in Denver, to be a guy that not only brought leadership in the locker room, but gave confidence to a player like Jokic. Tell him, this is your team. Like, we need you to be aggressive. And so it's been great to see him get his big contract this offseason, Jokic, and then come out and perform the way he's done. And the Denver Nuggets are surprising a lot of people.
They really are. I want to see him keep it up. The jury's still out as far as David Jacoby's opinion of the Denver Nuggets.
So die easy.
I am.
Here's a better way for you to think about it.
Okay.
Who's going to play against the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Final?
I have absolutely no idea.
None. So the Nuggets have to be in the conversation.
And even when the playoffs start, like, I don't think that's going to dramatically change. I think that now it's a field of 8 teams that can play against them.
Correct.
It'll be a field of 4. in April. We're not going to go into it like we did last year. You knew last year, I can't wait for the Western Conference Finals. Are the Western Conference Finals the real NBA championship? Remember that whole thing? We knew it was a 2-team race. It will be a 4-team race to play the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. And the funny part is we're talking about that. Like, the Warriors are in like 4th place right now. But we all know how that's going to end up. Mm-hmm. We all know how that's going to end up. We had the Timberwolves are like real quietly on a 6-game win streak? The Timberwolves are on like a 6 or 7 game win streak. I don't have it in front of me, but like really quietly. They were off to that bad start. They had Jimmy. They traded Jimmy. And all of a sudden, it starts to work.
And in this dynamic, it again starts with your best players. Karl Anthony Towns putting up big numbers, now making his threes, still giving the rebounds, but more importantly, he's giving effort defensively. Yep. That was the challenge for Tibbs, for Butler, for fans of the Timberwolves to get these two young players, Towns and Wiggins, to compete defensively. And I like to see Wiggins aggressive, attacking the basket, not necessarily selling for jumpers, but also keeping his man in front of him, getting steals, getting blocks, and using that athleticism for other reasons besides dunks.
They're 9-3 since they made the trade. And one thing, Doris brought this up last night covering the game, which was like, it's like sometimes you make some points that are so obvious, but they're super meaningful. She was just like, this is what happens in a 2-for-1 trade. You know, it's like you trade 2 for 1 and you're missing a rotation player. You lose a rotation player, so someone else needs to step up. But it's also true on the other side. Sure, we lost Jimmy Butler, all-star, all-NBA caliber player. But now we've got 2 players that can get meaningful minutes. So, like, it strengthens the depth of the Timberwolves, which really helps.
Absolutely. And Derrick Rose has been a revelation for that team, too. The productivity. If you look at his numbers, no one can say they saw that coming.
No, even him. No. You guys see him. Do you remember, like, last year, it was like, is he going to come back to the team? The Knicks, when he disappeared, that was like maybe some personal issues. Last year with the Cavs, it was honestly like, is he going to play in the NBA?
You know, one thing I want to do for the pod that this just reminded me of, and it's too many people for me to say it.
Jalen just took out a pen and started writing things down.
Is the number of players that are on 1-year contracts to designate if they're going to get long-term deals after this year.
Oh, we can do that. We'll do that on the TV show. We'll do some research. We'll make Demetrius Harris do that.
It'll be like Derrick Rose.
You listening, Demetrius?
JaVale McGee.
Like all the Lakers.
Multiple players that are in the final year of their contracts, and there's a reason why they're on 1-year deals. A team felt like they didn't want to extend them, more than 1 year. So it's going to be interesting to see how a lot of that plays out for many players around the game.
It looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty good draft class too. So there's going to be some new blood in the NBA that's going to force out some of these.
And shout to this year's rookie class. I know Ayton went number 1 overall, and we talked about Doncic and Trae Young.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
He's balling with Memphis. He's balling with Memphis. Miles and Wendell Carter's playing solid with Chicago. We saw Bagley playing well. Miles Bridges in Charlotte. So this has been a really deep and productive class.
I think one thing about our show is we want to give you nuggets
Sexton,
give to your friends to sound smart. Jaren Jackson Jr. Yep. Just watch some of his play. He's not scoring 30 a game. 30, 15, and 7. No, but he's getting blocks. He's playing great defense, getting rebounds, hitting threes. He's going to be one of those players that in 2 or 3 years he'll really come into his own. He's one of the youngest players that's been drafted.
I want to go a little bit further on what you just said. He's strong. He got long arms. He's tall, which means he can play small ball 5 and he can play 4. He can shoot the 3. I'm going to say it to this microphone.
Oh, I like it.
Not just up front, but he has the absolute chance to be the elite player from this draft.
I agree. I've seen enough. I mean, I'm not watching every single Memphis Grizzlies game, but when I tune in, he does the little things. It's the hedging out on a pick and roll and switching onto somebody, and just he seems to understand the defensive part of the game, which is helpful.
And also, too, when I make a statement like that, the first thing I think about is liabilities. He doesn't have any. He has no liabilities.
That's interesting. Yeah, there's always the but someone like Ben Simmons can't shoot. Yeah,
strong enough, can shoot the 3, can play on the post, can finish with his left.
If he ends up getting switched onto a guard, it's not ideal, but it's not. He's not on an island. They're not going to run that over and over and over again into the ground.
And I got a chance to see too much of him in the Big Ten.
Of course.
So I am really impressed how he was taking the leap. And if you want to sound smart around your friends or talk about basketball, go ahead and run that. When they bring up Trae Young, when they bring up Luka Doncic, Jaren Jackson Jr.
And I'm going to steal this from one of my friends. Big shout out to Cookies Podcast, Ben Dietrich. He's averaging 2 blocks a game. Like he's getting blocked for a rookie. And again, he's not just a rookie. Age is a factor too. Sure, he's in the same rookie class as everybody else. But honestly, he's like 19 and a half. Like he's still growing a beard. You know what I mean? He might even grow another inch. Like remember, you just think back. You listen to this podcast. Think back to you at 19. Like I'm a sophomore at NYU. I'm wearing like Jinko jeans. Like it's just like I'm a completely different person. So he's going to be 26 in his 7th year in the league. Like that makes a difference.
No doubt.
We always say we give the people what they want. Part of giving the people what they want is listening to our voicemails. If you call 985-80-JALEN, leave us a voicemail, and you give Reg a shout-out, he will put it on the show just like this one.
What up, J and J? Rob calling from Boston, long-time listener of the pod. Anxious-ridden Celtics fan right now. I had a cultural or regional. I'm going to go with a poker night. I've been getting into that lately. Mostly the people around look like me, who look like Jacoby. But I was wondering, is it cultural? Is it product of environment? I don't know. Let me know. Holla. Yep. Medicinal.
Big shout to Rob in Boston, 617. There's layers to this one, Jalen Rose.
Yep.
This is regional, sort of cultural, and also kind of generational. Let me break that down. Okay. Regional, I feel like there's just a little bit more poker nights when you get below the Mason-Dixon line. That's just kind of how I feel, right? I feel like the South, they play a little bit more cards than they do in other places in the country. I've been everywhere. Secondly, semi-cultural. You cannot completely call poker nights cultural, but I would say the game of poker leans a little bit closer to people that look like me than something like Tunk or Spades that leans a little bit closer to people that look like you.
Correct.
And generational, because 10 years ago when poker was popping, everyone was playing poker. When poker was really popping, everyone was playing poker, and that just kind of died out for whatever reason.
I got a word for poker. It's not necessarily cultural or regional. It's financial. It costs a lot to play that game.
It does. There's a couple things about that game I want to talk about. When I go to Las Vegas, some of my friends, they go straight to the poker room. I don't see them for 6 hours. What? I'm just like, you just been sitting there in silence with strangers at his table for 6 hours? Like, yeah, I love it. What? That's not for me. Poker rooms and casinos are not for me. Do you know what I like to do in casinos? Party, give high fives to my friends, drink,
lose and act like you're winning.
Yeah, like I just want to have fun, and I don't find poker fun.
And also, another thing, so I play a lot of cards. I haven't recently, but I love to play cards.
Can we play cards soon? I love playing cards with you.
I love Tunk. I love Spades, Bid Whist. Never have played poker.
Huh.
Never played
Maybe
poker.
It's cultural.
Yeah. I've never once played poker. I've watched it for hours upon days, upon years. In the NBA, on the plane, each team plays poker. Multiple games.
Have you watched enough poker? Like, if you sat at a poker table right now, would you know what to do?
I think I would know what to do. Played a lot of Blu-ray, played a lot of in-between, shot a lot of craps. Never played poker. Huh. Watched so many people play for hours. Never once participated.
Never once. Let me tell you one thing about poker that always concerns me. I love blackjack.
Me too.
Right? I love blackjack. Because I know when I put my money out there, let's say I put $50 on something, I might double down.
That's why I call it financial.
You might double down twice. So like again, doubling down twice happens once in 200 hands. So like you're really just risking 3 times your initial bet, or you're really risking just your initial bet.
Well, I know what you mean. But people double down more than you're giving credit.
No, of course. But what I'm saying is there's a limit to how much money I'm putting out there. When you play poker, every single chip that you have is in play at any given time. At any given time.
I don't like that.
At any given time, you can lose everything. You can lose everything at any given time. When I'm playing blackjack, you can't lose everything. Sure, you might put $100 and get nervous about that, and then you get a 10, so you put another 100 out, and then you get whatever, or you double down and then you split, or you know how that goes. Mm-hmm. It can get crazy quick, but it's never really more than 4 times your initial bet. But in poker, it can just all be gone.
Agreed. Have you played in between before?
No.
The same exact premise applies. You go into playing a hand, and before you know it, you're playing all of your money at once.
I don't like that.
That's why I never play poker.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. And so, like, I again, been around many poker games, watched many poker games, have never participated for the exact reason you said. And you just gave me an idea that I got to make sure I put on wax as a blackjack tip. You've seen me play a lot of blackjack.
You're not in a position to give anybody a blackjack tip.
Yes, I am. Okay.
Putting it on wax.
So, you talked about people doubling down and how to go about doing it. Here's some advice. If the dealer has 7 or below and I have 10 or below, I'm doubling down every time.
I've seen you double down.
Every time.
I've seen you split kings.
Every time.
I've seen you split kings.
Splitting kings, splitting aces.
Splitting aces, you do that every single time. Why?
Splitting 10.
So you're showing an 8 and they're showing a 6. No, you have 8 total. You got a 6 and a deuce.
Yep.
And they've got a 6.
Doubling.
What if they've got a 2?
Doubling.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
See, that's why you piss people off at the table.
I'm doubling.
Then you're going to end up with a 15.
But sometimes, here's the Vegas thing, though. Yeah, he had that 2 showing. Then he flip it over. He got 10. They flip it over again, got 13. They flip it over again, got 16. They flip it over again and get a 5 and get 21.
Yeah,
that happens.
That happens.
But you know what else happens? He flips it over and he gets 22.
Yeah.
Oh, then he gets a hit,
That's
and
the
then
game.
gets 15.
I'm getting excited just talking about this.
No doubt.
I love that action.
No doubt. That's
I love
action.
it. I love it.
That gives me the rush I don't get from poker because it allows me to do more bets within the framework.
Here's one thing I learned about myself when I gamble, right? You always see open spots at the 25 minimum tables because I'm not like you. I'm not rich. But I'm like, oh, no, I don't know if I want to bet 25. If I sit down at a 15 table, I'm going to bet 25 every time. So I might as well just start at the 25 table.
Correct.
You know, it's just like who am I kidding?
Don't play those games.
I'm not going to bet 15 after 15 after 15. I'm going to end up betting 25. So I might as well just start at the 25
and
table.
Also for those who do a lot of gambling, like the table that you sit at is the risk versus reward. Like usually people who are investing more of their money into the table, hopefully they are more seasoned about how they want to play. Sometimes if you go to like a $10 table, you can get people to just quote unquote want to have fun.
Yeah.
They just want to play. But you go sit at a $100 table or a $500 table, they ain't playing.
No. Yeah, I know. They ain't playing. And the way that you play, they're going to murder you if it doesn't go well. For real.
We got to play now. I'm excited
about this too. Thank you so much for the call, Rob from Boston. Yep. Medicinal.
Yep.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
What's up, fellas? It's your boy Kevin out of Dyer, Indiana. Shout out to the Midwest. Shout out Reg. Shout out the whole crew. I got a cultural, regional for you. See, I'm a guy I look more like Jacoby, but what I'm about to ask you, I learned from friends of mine who look more like Jalen. Stepping out of the house in dirty shoes. I can't walk out of the house, especially if they're white kicks, if my shoes haven't been toothbrushed, scrubbed, spotless clean, looking like I just bought them. I got shoes that I've had for years that you would think I just got from the store. Again, I learned this from friends of mine who look more like Jalen, and haven't really seen many of my other friends that look like myself and Jacoby do the same thing. So I got to know, is this cultural or regional? Again, I'm from the Midwest, so, you know, especially in the wintertime, we get a lot of stuff on our shoes. So it could be regional, could be cultural. It's definitely medicinal. Holla at your boy. Keep doing what you do. Keep cashing the checks. We appreciate you.
What up, though, Kev? Appreciate the support. Shout to Naptown, Indiana.
Shout out.
Lived there 6 years. My home away from home. I will answer your question direct. This is 1,000% cultural. 1,000,000%. I remember telling people in my neighborhood back in the day when I was a shorty, never put your shoes, ever, ever, in a washing machine.
I made that mistake.
People used to actually put their shoes in the washing machine and think they would get the most clean.
Works for Chuck Taylor's.
All you have to do, little soap, little water, toothbrush, a bigger brush. You can use a hairbrush.
I use dish soap. I don't use hand soap.
You can use any soap as long as it has bubbles.
Yeah.
As long as it has bubbles. I'm telling you. You hit them soles, looking like new money.
Felt so
Can't be
good?
walking outside with no dirty kick.
Quincy had some dirty kicks, and he's like, Dad, my shoes are dirty. I was like, let me show you how this works. So we got the little mug, put some dish soap in there, put in some hot water. We each had a toothbrush, and I'll show him how to do it.
Bill's character.
It was just one of those moments. It was just like, it was a real dad-son moment. And he was like focused on it, and he was so happy. He was looking at it afterwards. He was just so proud afterwards. I was like, you are my son.
End of the week, Sundays,
son.
I remember like being in middle school, like elementary school. I remember every Sunday I used to line up my kicks and clean them all. Top of the week.
I just want to warn people about something. I made this mistake when I was a child. I had some white shell toes. And when, growing up, like, I didn't have a closet full of kicks. I didn't have many options like I do now. I had probably 2 pairs of shoes. The white shell toes were so fly. And Phil was my guy. He was the OG. He was like, oh, put a little bleach on those. Okay, put a little bleach on them. It looked good the first time you did it. It looks good the second time you did it. By the third time, they're looking like my teeth.
Correct.
They're just all yellow. You do not. You think the bleach makes your shoes whiter? It doesn't.
And like I said from the beginning, do not put your shoes in the washing machine.
Nope.
That was a theory that I heard people using. Like, that don't work.
Nope.
That is not gonna be able to do it.
Get the people what they want.
Give the people what they want.
Whether it's music or whiskey, in New Orleans, every note matters, and every sip of Southern Comfort dances to the same vibe as our birthplace. So drink it in. Southern Comfort, the spirit of New Orleans. Discover more at southerncomfort.com.
We have a very special guest.
The champ is here.
The champ is here. The bronze bomber, Deontay Wilder. Thank you so much for doing the show.
The champ is here.
Welcome,
What's up,
family.
baby?
Appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, brother. Y'all doing okay?
Doing great.
No doubt.
Doing great.
So, entertaining fight.
Yes.
I was on the edge of my seat. First handful of rounds, I felt like your opponent did a really good job of holding his own. He ducked some punches. He had a straight jab going, 1-2. Then all of a sudden, the 7th round happened. And you came out like a man possessed. Knocked down in the 9th round. Knocked down in the 12th round. Responded like a champion. What were your thoughts just how he responded and he kept getting up? Sort of looked like The Undertaker.
Yeah, for sure. Man, it was an amazing fight. Definitely an epic fight. One for the history books.
Yep.
With that fight, though, I've always felt like the heavyweight division depended on me. Even in the Olympics, I felt like I was carrying United States of America because it's so hard to make it here, especially in boxing, when boxing is one of our least favorite sports here in this country. So, everyone always talking about the golden era, the golden age. And when you're a fighter, you're like, we're great too. And we want to show that, So to have it in L.A. and to see the response of the people to come out and show up and support like that, it was amazing. I'm finally getting the attention that I truly deserve. I've been working my butt off so hard over 10 years to get it, and I felt, I was so anxious to get this man out. I said, they showed up. I want to get him a devastating knockout. But I instead of remembering that, that's what I do. I knock people out for a living. I got a true ability. I'm a freak of nature in this sport. I don't have to push or rush nothing. And his style of what he was doing, it was easier than what it seemed. But I was over anxious to do what I had to do, and it allowed me to overthrow my punches. It allowed me to be very predictable of what I was doing, and I ain't really adjust and catch on until the 12th round when I laid that combination on him.
Yes.
But he did an amazing job. He did an amazing job. You seen the best Fury, but you didn't see the best Deontay Wilder.
That's a good point. When he was on the canvas right there with his eyes closed, I thought it was over. I stood up. I was on my couch. I'm standing in my living room cheering for you. What was the feeling when you saw him rise up?
When I saw him rise up, in my mind, I was like,
So was I. You were like, he out of there. You said that.
Yeah. I was like, I'm looking at when I did the combination, especially with the left hook, and I'm looking at his eyes roll in the back of his head like the sun setting. I'm like, it's over. It's over. So when I'm seeing him rise up like he did, one of the things while me opening my mouth, being surprised, another thing went through my head like, if you don't believe in God and think He's real, was a prime example.
But not even just getting up. He was still fighting after that. Like, he wasn't just like rolling around trying to get out of the round. He was still throwing punches and trying to land some things.
Yeah.
Like, you see him here with his tongue out, and he was doing all these like histrionics and herky-jerky and weird stuff. What was it like being in the ring with someone who's just so unorthodox?
Well, you know, I've had many experience with many guys with different styles, and especially with Tyson Fury's style as well too. So it wasn't no surprise that he was doing the things that he was doing. You know, he came prepared, which is a great thing, because a lot of people made excuses before even the fight happened. He was a drug abuser. He was out of the ring. He's not going to do this and do that. But you just never know what a person's going to do in the moment in time when it's time for them to do so. And he proved a lot of people wrong. So with the rematch, it shouldn't be no excuses now, because they doubted him, and he overcame everything he's overcame. And you know, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for what he did, and he to overcome a lot of the things. But that would make it so exciting for the rematch.
It was such a good fight. I mean, is this rematch going to be your next fight?
Most definitely. I don't want anyone else but Tyson Fury. I don't think Tyson Fury want anyone else but me. And we're going to make it happen. You know, to have the performance he did, to have the performance we did, you know, it's only right for me to give him a rematch ASAP. I don't want anyone else. You know, the world wants to see a rematch, you know, because you got one side saying I won, you got one side saying he won, and you got some people truly believe it was a tie. So for this to only to be right, I must give him a rematch. I got to.
Where do you feel like it's going to take place? The first one was in L.A.
I mean, you got Vegas, you got here at the Barclays Center. You know, here is like my second home.
Let's go to New York.
Been working with open arms here. You know what I mean? So it's been amazing. So we got a lot of venues. We got a lot of people that's very interested in it. The talk is rising each and every day.
It's rising. Like this is so much buzz around this fight. Like, we're still talking about it this deep into the week, and it kind of feels like your man Anthony Joshua is a little jealous on the outside.
Yeah.
When you look at this tweet, you see what he said here. What took this fool so long? Like, we ain't been interested. Anyway, well done, Fury. They wanted to get you because they assumed you was finished. I'll give you a fair one when you're ready, either of you. It seems like, is he scared to fight you?
Oh, most definitely. He's definitely scared. Either he's scared or his people are scared. You know, a lot of people want to say that. Well, you know, they're fighters. They can't be scared, but you can. You know, life is scary itself, and you know, like I tell people all the time, we risk our lives in this ring for others' entertainment. And if risking your life is not scary at all, then I don't know what is, you know.
And also for Anthony Joshua, can you just let people know how you've tried to make that fight happen?
It's just so exhausting, even just trying to talk about it right now. Because they're hard to work with. You know, we tried to make that fight happen. We was in negotiation for 4 months. And when you see me and Fury make this fight in less than a couple of days, and then you look back on negotiating with them for 4 months, he just lets you know. It lets you know that who really wants to fight, who don't want to fight. You know, he say he's the best, or people say he's the best. Then let's best fight the best. And when the best fight the best, you get a Wilder and Fury. You get people, you know, want to spend their money because they know they're going to get their money's worth. And that's what I'm all about. I've always got into this sport wanting to fight the best. If I didn't, you see my character when I fight Luis Ortiz. Then I came right back and fought Tyson Fury. Now I'm going to fight Tyson Fury again. So you can tell what my character is as a champion, because I feel the heavyweight division, it's too small to have so many multiples of champions. It's too small. So I've always been on the verge. I've always been one of those guys that said it should be one champion, one face, one name in the heavyweight division, and that's what I want.
So you are one of the most devastating punchers the world has ever seen, entertaining boxer, but we got some high school photos of you.
Oh, Lord.
And you're a hooper. Look at you. It says right here, clubs and organizations, football and basketball. And then we also got you just lined up with the basketball team. Look at you at center. Look at you, arms crossed, all y'all. I mean, did you ever consider pursuing hoops?
I did. You know, been in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You know, it was football and basketball.
Yep.
Majority football. That was like the professional sport for us. And you know, I had to have the grades, so I took up basketball. My father played ball as well too. So, you know, but when you have a plan, God may have another plan for you. And football and basketball wasn't the plan that he had.
What was Deontay Wilder like in high school?
Man, you talking about hops. I'll dunk on 3 guys if you get on.
Wow, that's what's up.
You know, I used to jump so high that I could feel the breeze of the air, like if I was flying. You know, they called me D Killer back in those days.
They can still call you D Killer now.
Well, you are the face of the heavyweight division, in my opinion. You have a terrific personality. You're motivating to so many people. I see you talking to Alabama's football team and changing the game in your own right. So I appreciate you joining the program. You have an open invite for Jalen and Jacoby.
After you knock out Tyson Fury, you're welcome to come right back and talk about it.
My man,
thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate the love.
Blessing.
Thank you, family.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Holidays are coming up. That means you got to buy presents for the people that you love. I always have trouble with this. I love the people in my life so much, but sometimes I can't find the perfect gift because everyone's sort of satisfied their needs. Like they don't need anything, but I figured it out. We've cracked the code here at Jalen and Jacoby. Get the people that you care for something they're going to love, and they're going to love Tissot watches. Tissot is a Swiss watch brand with a broad and versatile range of high-quality watches at attractive prices. Each one of Tissot's timepieces delivers quality performance and traditional luxury, and they look fly. And whether you're thinking, oh, all right, Jacoby, I'm going to get a Tissot watch. But what about for the women in my life? They also have the Tissot PR100 Sport Chic watch. It is the Tissot PR100 family of watches. It brings together sporty and feminine details for a collection that's bold, romantic, and ideal for the modern woman. And then you're like, oh, well, what about my homeboys? Well, guess what? You can get them the Chrono XL. The Tissot Chrono XL is a great watch for those that are looking for a sporty chronograph with Swiss technology at an unbeatable price. And at 45 millimeters, it's one of the largest watches in the Tissot collection. It is also, little nugget, the official watch of the NBA. And the NBA loves Tissot so much that they partnered with them because they know that Tissot is the best watch brand out there. So while you're considering buying something for people, think about Tissot watches. And the watches that I mentioned, they come at a very affordable price. Their Chrono XLs, it's about $350. That's a really good price for a high-quality watch. And for the ladies in your life, the PR100 watch, you can get that for just about $375. So make sure this holiday season you work with Tissot and get Tissot watches.
When tracking the domestic dust bunny, you commonly find them hiding under wardrobes next to lost socks. Don't move too suddenly or they'll scurry off. What's utterly fascinating about the dust bunny is that although they are not actually sentient creatures, when they hear that Geico not only saves people money, but also has a 97% customer satisfaction rating, it's obvious to them you should switch. Because yes, switching to Geico is a no-brainer. Oh no, it's the dust bunny's only natural predator. Run along, dust bunnies, run along.
Late last night, the Spurs coming to town against the Lakers. Comes down to the fourth quarter. Looks like a close game. LeBron James scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. He had 22 in the game. This was like one of the first real LeBron takeover games for the Lakers. Jalen, what do you see from LeBron? What do you think about this game?
Dominant performance, in particular in the fourth quarter when the team needed it most. They lost Brandon Ingram during the game with an ankle injury. I appreciate the way Lonzo Ball is finding his stride and playing quality minutes, competing on the defensive end. We saw Kyle Kuzma slice in for a breakaway layup. We also saw him with the backdoor pass to LeBron James. Hart initially came into the game, got quick fouls early. Before you know it, he was playing quality minutes as well. So it was a team dynamic the first three quarters, but then all of a sudden LeBron James took over in his 16th year in the fourth, and it was a signature performance.
It really was. And what was swirling, what's bubbling around this team yesterday were some comments that KD made in a Rick Bucher piece about the environment that could be toxic playing with LeBron James. Of course, after the game, they asked LeBron about it, and here's what he had to say.
I believe that's probably not the whole quote, so I'm not going to comment on that. I would love to see the whole transcript of what was asked of him, the context that was asked of him, why it was asked, and the whole thing. So I'm not going to comment on it because I'm not knowledge. I don't know the whole thing. That would be stupid on my part. I'm a veteran.
He dodged it. You know, he was kind of like Tyson Fury with that. He dodged it a little bit. But I think it's time that we should take a look at exactly what Kevin Durant said in this Rick Bucher piece. He said, and I quote, "So much hype comes from being around LeBron from other people. He has so many fanboys in the media. Even the beat writers just fawn over him. I'm like, we're playing basketball here. And it's not even about basketball at certain points. So I get why anyone wouldn't want to be in that environment. Because it's toxic. Especially when the attention is BS attention fluff. It's not LeBron's fault at all. It's just the fact you have so many groupies in the media that love to hang on every word just to get out of the way and let us play basketball. Jalen, is this more about how he feels about playing with LeBron or how he feels about the media that covers the NBA?
Well, he was trying to take shots at the media, but LeBron James became the conversation piece and the undercurrent. Because he talked about the hype surrounding LeBron. That was a direct correlation. He talked about fanboys and groupies in the media. That's just his disdain for the media who voted him MVP. And when you talk about toxic, that's the commentary that now LeBron has to answer to. Because when you're one of the greatest to ever do it and you won 3 championships, now you're with the Lakers and you have another star player saying that it's not attractive to play with you, it's one thing for media members to say it because it's been whispered.
Sure.
But now it's on wax. We have one of the top players in the game basically suggesting that playing with LeBron ain't the best thing in the world. And so what this tells me is, one, he ain't going to L.A. And he definitely can't, even if he wanted to go, he can't go after this comment because that'd be hypocritical. Number 2, the last time I checked, other than LeBron James, who else does the national media talk more about? The Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, the Golden State Warriors have a very media-heavy environment. Remember they were like the Beatles when they had the win streak to start the season? ESPN had a crew following them around every time they were on the road.
And it didn't stop him from joining them.
Nope.
After they had won a championship and won 73 games, and he gets a chance to play with the only unanimous MVP in the league. But the last thing that this really shows me, this is final season in Golden State. This really tells me that he wants his own squad. And while it can be somewhat poisoning the well so that Kawhi doesn't go play with LeBron.
Oh, he mentioned Kawhi by name in this piece. He mentioned Kawhi, which I found really interesting.
There you go. So you're making my point now. So now this all makes sense. Don't go play with him because it's toxic. Y'all come run with me.
Come run with me, the New York Knicks. Come run with me at the Clippers or whatever. I found this very interesting because rarely do you hear athletes, especially experienced veterans, say things like this to reporters on record.
And also, how about this? Like you see Joel Embiid in particular be a guy, and I love this, that trolls the opponents. Andre Drummond, who they play on Friday, Hassan Whiteside, young Mo Bamba and Ayton, that they have to get on his level. For KD, just think about this now. Of course, he and Russ wasn't real beef. They made up, and I'm happy that they've done so. But just think about this. He's leaving some landmarks behind now. Okay, one in OKC. It's going to be one in Golden State. Now these LeBron comments. So when he does go to his next squad, it's going to be interesting to see how one of the best players in the game is now going to have people like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook having to answer questions and or compete against a guy that in theory took shots and or left their squad.
But here's an interesting angle on this, Jalen Rose. What superstar actively pursued joining LeBron James? I can only think of one. Chris Bosh. Remember, Kevin Love got traded there. You know, Dwayne Wade was already there. Kyrie was already there, and Kyrie wanted out. So maybe there's some truth to this.
I'm not saying that he's entitled to his opinion. Like, I love when athletes speak honest to the media. But here's the thing. When somebody else sticks a microphone in his face and asks him about these comments, he's not going to stick his chest out, put his head up, and own it. He's going to clarify it. He's going to modify it.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to back this one up. That's the next step. Remember when you heard it? Like the next thing that comes out of KD's mouth is, "Oh well, what
y'all
you
took
didn't
it the
hear
wrong
is
way."
The context." Kind of like LeBron said, "Like I want to hear the whole transcript in the context." Do you remember the report that this summer LeBron texted KD about joining him?
Correct. And how about this? For those that haven't been paying attention, LeBron James, pretty media savvy.
Yeah.
And so he starts off the interview by saying, I don't know about the comments.
Come on, LeBron.
And then
come on, LeBron.
The next 5 seconds, he's like, well, I got to see in what context it was said.
I need the transcript.
I need the
transcript. It's like he's launching an investigation.
He has a multimedia conglomerate company.
He's a Robert Mueller on this. He's just like, I need to do an investigation. I need to know everything.
Before we knew.
He definitely knew before we knew. There's no question. He's like, I'm a veteran. I don't tell you guys the truth. I know exactly what's going on. This is just so interesting.
And also, he can't win because LeBron can't really say too much about this because guess what he needs? A superstar to come play with him
tomorrow. There will be a superstar that is going to be in the purple and gold that will join this summer. I promise you that. Regardless of what KD.
2019 class is so deep. But here's the distinction I want to make. There are only so many great franchise-changing players in the game. So it's not just a free agent joining LeBron for me. Mm-hmm. It's who. So
it's different if it's KD than if it's Jimmy Butler. It's different if it's Kawhi than if it's Boogie. That's fair to say.
And so that's the dynamic that has to get played out over the next couple of years. And plus a guy like Anthony Davis, who is not a free agent in 2019.
Well, in this room, you said that he would be wearing the purple and gold. Some tells me AD doesn't hear these comments and say, you know what? I don't really want to go to Los Angeles. Some tells me that's not the case. Some
make his own decision.
With Rich Paul representing him, I don't think that'll be the case.
Hey, Julius, how was it?
But let me ask you this. I didn't play in the NBA. You did. What about, is there some positive aspects to all the focus being on your teammate, to all the focus being on LeBron, and everyone huddled around his locker? Doesn't that ease some of the pressure off of you?
Yes, it does. But the other thing that it also does, like Aaron Rodgers, when we win, it's because he's the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about him. Yep. But when we lose, we ain't good enough.
He needs support. He need better role players around him.
He need more help.
We don't stereotype. We don't generalize. It's not a black or white world. We explore the nuances of our society with cultural regional.
Make us special and make us unique.
We were doing this segment, and then one of the questions was, is putting your feet out of the window cultural or regional? And someone was watching the show and couldn't help but chime in. And this is a gentleman by the name of Steve Harvey. Let's listen to Steve react to us on that topic.
You can't ride with your feet out the window in the hood. It's culturally, we can't do that. You can't be barefooted and have swagger and jump out your car. See, where we live, something could pop off. So what you cannot do is be barefoot. Now, you run across the parking lot, you know it's glass in the parking lot. You'd have tore your feet up. You know why? Because you had them hanging out the window, riding in the car. Grown man hanging his feet out the window. You ain't no baby. You see dogs hanging their head out the window, try that at 70 miles an hour. You'll choke yourself half to death.
Uncle Steve has never put his feet out the window because it feels good. It feels good. The air in between your toes, it feels so good.
You see those dogs sticking their head out of the window?
Big shout out to Steve Harvey, fan of the show. We're obviously a fan of his. He brought to me one of the greatest moments of my life when we won Celebrity Family Feud. I'll always be tied to Steve Harvey. All right, the first one we have is from Twitter. It is from Jeremy. He says, putting antlers and a red nose on your vehicle this time of year, cultural or regional? Jalen Rose, this is cultural.
This is definitely cultural.
This is cultural.
This is cultural.
We don't even have to explain.
Yes.
I mean, please send us a tweet if you are someone that looks like Jalen and has a red nose and antlers on your vehicle, but I don't think that person's out there. I don't think that person's out there. No. All right, so let's move on to the next one. This one comes via our voicemail. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it on the show just like this.
Naming your vehicle. Is that cultural or regional?
That's Justin from Arkansas.
Cultural.
Naming your vehicle.
Cultural.
Cultural or regional?
We name all things that are special to us. Body parts, vehicles, everything. How about that?
This might be regional, too. It might be a South thing. It might be universal. I mean, I named my minivan, RIP my minivan. I love that minivan. We named it the Super Van. Does that count? But I got kids.
Right. So do you and your lovely wife have a name for any of your private parts?
No. And if I did, You think I would talk about it right here on this program, Jalen Rose?
Well, you talked about getting snapped.
Dude, what
are you saying?
That's one of those questions that you ask someone else because you want them to ask you.
No, I don't.
That's one of those questions.
No, I don't.
Oh.
No, I don't. I brought that up because you're the person that talked about having a lot of kids and was considering getting surgery. That part probably needs a name.
I just haven't booked a date yet. Have you ever named one of your cars?
Yes.
Tell the story.
So, in college, I had a white Honda Accord that I won shooting a dice game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the Ghost.
The Ghost. Oh, that's a good name.
And I had a Suburban that had real TVs in it. And I used to keep it really cold. I used to pop the homies in the vehicle, and they called it the Ice Box.
I love it. Moving on. This next one is from Twitter. Cultural or regionals from Matt. Building your own furniture.
This is regional.
That is regional.
This is regional.
Yeah, I think this is a South thing.
You gotta be good with your hands.
Yeah.
You wanna be really
in the Northeast, if we're not building our own furniture, that ain't happening.
No, this is regional.
Yeah,
this is
Midwest, not building your own furniture.
Somewhat, definitely Southern.
Yeah, I in high school, I once built a bench in woodworking class. That bench was sturdy.
I'm good.
I used that bench for a long time. It was a great bench.
I'm good.
Shout out to that bench.
I'd rather work to make money and pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, I'm not building my own furniture.
Take too much time and energy.
Next one.
Not good with my hands.
Next one comes from Twitter. I want to know what you think about this. One's from Nishan. Cultural or regional, or medicinal for that matter, cosplaying.
I don't know what that means.
You have no idea what cosplay is. No idea. Do you have a guess?
No. I don't know.
You can't even guess.
Cosplaying?
Cosplay. Yeah.
No
idea. Sometimes me and you are right in line and we have the exact same experiences and opinions
Never heard
and feelings
of the term.
about this. Then sometimes I'm just like, our lives couldn't be more different. You have no idea what this is.
No.
Cosplaying it's short for costume play. It's when you dress up like anime characters. They have whole conventions. Remember when we were in LA, they had the whole convention, everyone walking around the plaza dressed up like costumes, people from anime stuff and movies, Princess Leia and all that.
No, you could just go to Victoria's Secret.
You're gonna get yourself in trouble today. You're gonna get us both in trouble today. There's that syrup topic. Right, exactly. Really got you going.
You sound like a Saturday
you sound
night.
Like Sarah. Moving on. The next one is from Twitter. Will wants to know repurposing mason jars for beverages. Oh, this is regional. This is regional. This is a down south thing.
This is cultural.
Throw some moonshine in there.
Pour some lemonade in there.
Oh yeah, this is regional. This is regional.
It's cultural and regional.
Oh no, this is just regional. See, we disagree on this one. This is a down south thing. You think that people look like me are not drinking mint juleps out of mason jars? You think that the people in West Virginia that are running and making their own moonshine are not using mason jars?
It's regional. You don't think people look like me putting chains in mason?
That's why it's regional. That's why it's regional. You said it was cultural. This is regional.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Cultural and regional? No, this is regional.
No, don't try to
go to West Virginia.
Mason jars. No.
Go to the hills of West Virginia.
We use those too.
Go to the hills of West Virginia. Mason jars they put mason jars in mason jars.
We put change in them.
Let's move on. Finally, this last one. This is from Salmonella. Appropriate name. Cream cheese on a hot dog.
Regional.
What do you mean regional? Where did they do that at? What region and what culture? That's not regional or cultural. Regional. Do you know what that is, Jalen Rose?
Sound like it tastes nasty.
Medicinal. That's medicinal. That sometimes we go outside cultural or regional. That one is definitely medicinal.
Got it. I got the munchies. I'm going to open up the fridge. I'm putting something on this hot dog.
I don't have any mustard. I don't have any mustard. I don't have any ketchup.
I'm putting
no pickles, no onions. I get something on there.
I'm tired of ranch. Let me try this cream cheese.
Join the Skillshare movement, an online learning community with over 20,000 classes. Up your game in business, design, technology, or try a class in social media marketing, data science, mobile photography, creative writing, you name it. Join the millions already on Skillshare. Get 2 months of Skillshare unlimited access to over 20,000 classes for just 99 cents. To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/JJ. Again, go to Skillshare.com/JJ to start your 2 months now. That's Skillshare.com/JJ.
A lot of hype around this Raptors-Sixers matchup last night. It was a close game during the first half. Second half, the Raptors pulled away. Not much surprising about the result. But what I found so surprising was the poor performance of Joel Embiid. Do you think he tweeted after this one?
Not at all, especially if it was anything about the Raptors. What it showed me is that the Toronto Raptors have productive depth up front that can compete on both ends of the floor. Pascal Siakam, obviously Serge Ibaka playing the small ball center, was able to play against Joel Embiid one-on-one on the post and then take it to him offensively.
Yep.
Big time score, and then you see in the pick and roll action, Kawhi Leonard taking advantage of Joel Embiid with Valanciunas, who had a big game off the bench. And again, right here. And the other thing it made me realize is they missed Dario Saric up front.
That's interesting.
Other height, another guy with height, another guy with bulk, another guy to give fouls. And so Joel Embiid against the Raptors, they did a terrific job of neutralizing him on both ends of the floor. And that's why they had a commanding victory.
I'm not going to put all of this on Embiid. I felt like they didn't post him up that much. They didn't really run plays for him in the second half. I felt like they would give him the ball and they would run someone around him for a handoff. I just didn't feel like they were featuring him at that point.
Well, you can't necessarily get featured when the guy that's guarding you is pushing you, instead of you posting up 12 feet or on the lane line, he's pushing you out 16 to 18 feet. And usually on a nightly basis, Embiid's advantage, besides the fact he's uber talented, is he's usually bigger or stronger than the guy he's guarding, or vice versa. Serge, while he's not as big, he's strong enough to push him away from the floor.
Yep.
Now he has the athleticism to keep him from driving around him. On that one clip, you showed Serge offensively taking it right hand, bully ball. Embiid fails. Bang, bang. So it's not only on Embiid clearly, but as the game progresses, Ben Simmons not a three-point shooter, can't shoot free throws, had to take the ball out of his hands. Jimmy Butler was terrific. So was Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Both of those guys scored over 35 points. But the hole in the coverage yesterday was that a guy that's playing like an MVP candidate usually didn't play so well at Toronto, and that was Joel Embiid.
And another thing the Sixers did defensively that was so confusing is at one point, Kawhi Leonard was 4 for 4 from 3, and he kept getting open threes. Like, if he's 4 for 4 from 3 and he's Kawhi Leonard, like, maybe put a guy near him. You know, it was odd. Bad performance from the Sixers, especially in the second half. Well, bad performance from the Thunder last night for the first part of the game. They were in Brooklyn against the Nets, came out slow. They were in a deep deficit against the Nets, and then Paul George took over. He had 47 points. He had a huge fourth quarter, and he hit the game winner from a pass from Russ. A lot of people don't talk about Paul George that much anymore. Do you think he's being overlooked?
I think we rush to anoint the best player, Batman, and then try to figure out who Robin is.
Yep.
And for Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, not only got them 6 championships, I appreciate the fact that not only did Paul embrace going to play with Russ, but he doubled down and re-signed. When a lot of people, like KD would say, felt like playing with Russ was toxic.
Oh, I like what you did there.
Based on his style of play. And this guy goes out back-to-back seasons, averages a triple-double, ushers Paul George onto the team, now allows him to shine. If you look at the final play of the game, Billy Donovan did a terrific job of putting his best offensive players in the action at the top, forcing the defense to make a decision. They were hesitant. They both went to Russ. He kicks it back to Paul George at the top of the floor. He can patiently survey the floor, pump fake, create space, and knock down a clean look and have 47 points and 15 boards. That dynamic is working the way they planned it when he re-signed.
So, you know, we all have our guys. You know, one of my guys is Steven Adams. And you and I were both very high in this Thunder team. They started really slow. They looked bad at the beginning of the season. Well, look at the standings now, Mr. Rose. Who's at the top of the Western Conference? The Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, you know, I'm not surprised because you asked me to say into a microphone who I felt like would be in the Western Conference Finals. Said OKC. And here's something that people must not overlook. They don't have weaknesses defensively. See, when you play against certain teams, like we were just saying it with Philly, when you play against Philly, we got to find a way to get Embiid in the pick and roll to create some space.
Yep.
For OKC, they don't have those weaknesses. Each player that is in their rotation is able to guard and able to switch. So now that's no surprise to me that they're the best defensive team in the league. And now you have an MVP in Russ. You have Paul George playing the way he playing. Adams is the ultimate will guy. Like, this team can do something special this season.
Jalen, Didn't go well in Detroit last night. Your Pistons lost to the Bucks. Didn't go well in Hartford either. But there were two dunks in those two locations that I want to contrast and compare and find out which one was better. First, we have young Giannis, the birthday boy, turned 24 today. Bully ball, pushes Blake Griffin out of the way, dunks and flexes on him. Okay? That is the first dunk that I'm going to present to you. Second is this Zion with the steal. We all expect Zion to do a windmill or something. Off the backboard to R.J. Barrett. Look at that. I mean, they're toying with these people. Jalen Rose, what do you think of these two dunks? Which one's more impressive?
More impressive always is the one that's on someone.
Okay.
Always. If there's
but
somebody.
Off the backboard?
If these guys' heads at the rim.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's uncontested. The backboard is a big space to throw the ball off of. Like, you see players now when they get caught up in mid-action are throwing it off the backboard. LeBron doing it, guys doing it. But what the Greek Freak did to Blake Griffin, a former slam dunk champion, a guy that's basically averaging 25 this year, he put him on the post. And for those who really understand basketball, when you face the hoop, he was on the right block, which means you usually want to be dribbling with your left hand so you can actually survey the floor. Mm-hmm. If help is coming, then you can see it coming, and then you go baseline. He just faces him up like this, like, I'm going to dunk on you.
I'm not going to pass. I don't care if there's double team.
Like a guy in the pros versus somebody that's in ninth grade.
It was impressive, but this to me is very impressive. What I like about this is because, I'm here for the highlights. And they're playing Hartford, not in Hartford. I made a mistake there at Cameron. But I'm here for the show. And Duke is putting on a show.
They are.
And they do this thing where they start slow. I don't know why they're doing it. And then Coach K's got to get mad and then they pull away. But, this Duke team is putting on a show.
The reason why they start slow is R.J. Barrett will get more efficient, but right now he's a volume scorer. And Zion Williamson will improve shooting from the perimeter. But right now, he's not a knockdown jump shooter. So what teams are able to do is suffocate the paint, take away their layups and dunks. That's what Hartford was doing. Mm-hmm. And get back on defense and have a level of balance. You make a couple of threes, you can stay in the game. Then all of a sudden in the second half, when they start to get steals, long rebounds, they start to get out in fast break, they just blew the doors off of the game.
Jalen, the Greek Freak, it's his birthday today. He's 24. We have another 10 years of Giannis. Will we see a day when Giannis is the best player in the NBA?
That might be right now. And I know LeBron James is putting up great numbers. Steph Curry deserves to be mentioned in this conversation. But, he's going to be a player that leads his team in all major statistical categories. The Milwaukee Bucks have clearly improved under Coach Bud, and they've carved themselves out a niche that they may be a top 3 seed in the East.
Oh, I think they will. In the next 10 years, Giannis is going to get a couple MVPs.
No doubt.
It's going to happen. He's 24. He's coming into his own, and the way that his body has changed, the way that his game has changed, he's going to get a jumper in the next 10 years. It's going to be impressive.
It's going to be in that conversation this year. It ain't going to have to wait too long.
Nope. Jalen, I don't know if we should talk about this next topic, but we're going to. It's time for the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
Jalen Rose, buckle up. I've got a story to tell.
I'm married now.
Just listen.
So this ain't just only about me,
Jalen, listen. This is a real story that really happened. It was reported by the Connecticut Post and the New York Post. This really happened in real life. There are two landscapers. They're working at a home in Monroe, Connecticut. They're loading wood into a trailer. One is named Robert. The other one, I'm going to use an alias. It's a female. I'll call her Sarah, right? The two of them are loading wood into the trailer, okay? And Robert goes to take a break. Sarah's loading the wood. It's been 20 minutes. Robert didn't come back. Sarah's like, I can go check on this guy. I'm loading wood by myself all of a sudden. She goes and checks, and she finds him standing inside the home, the client's home, nude, watching explicit material on a laptop.
What?
She's like, Rob, what's really good? He's like, I'll be right out. Give me a second. She goes back to loading the wood.
What?
Okay. She's loading the wood.
What?
Dude still didn't come back out. She's loading wood by herself. So she goes to check on Rob for a second time. This time, Rob is doing what he was doing before, except he's covered in syrup. He is dousing himself in syrup.
That's a little kinky.
Now, Sarah, she might be a little kinky too, because she likes this. She gets excited. What? She joins Robert in the home. What? Not just covering herself in syrup. They put blueberry jam into the equation. I guess they went to the fridge. So the two of them are having a good time.
They're making a mess.
Engaging in coitus. And then, wait for this, Sarah finds out that Robert is filming the whole thing. Sarah's like, Rob, you got to delete that video. Rob don't want to delete the video.
Well, he already forwarded it to the bat phone.
He doesn't want to delete the video. So now Sarah's like, they have a real argument, these two landscapers. She calls the police. The police come. She explains the whole story. And now Robert is under arrest.
For what?
I don't know, man. Whatever. It's some sort of weird charge. There's all kinds of charges. He violated a lot of different laws. But Jalen Rose, first of all,
a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot here. I know this is not the workplace environment that we're trying to foster here in 2018 for the first place. But secondly, I'm married. I've been with the same woman for 16 years. You're married. Is this what's happening in the single world? Is this how people are getting down?
Well, a couple of things stood out to me. Like for them to be loading the wood and then for him to have the courage of his convictions to go into the client's house and initiate that sort of behavior means to me that he was already trying to flirt with Sarah anyway.
Okay.
Also, it makes me think maybe they probably have a past.
They might.
In one way, shape, or form.
They might.
I don't think that was their first time being in that scenario.
I don't want to kink shame. I would never kink shame. Whatever makes people happy in their own way. But the idea, she was like, dude, we got some work to do. But then when she saw the syrup, she was like, oh, okay, now I'm in. But the syrup is what took it over the top.
But here's my important journalistic opinion about
Okay, this is very important journalism.
Shouldn't it be more about lotion than about syrup? Because it's sticky.
Listen, I don't want to kink shame anybody. But all I have to say to put a bow on this topic is if you get jammed up,
don't mention my name.
Jalen Rose, the last couple of days, there's been a couple news stories about the pettiness going on between the Cavs and the Warriors, and Klay Thompson spoke on it. And the Cavs and the Warriors happened to play a basketball game last evening, and Draymond Green noticed something about the Cavaliers' visiting locker room. Let's take a look at Draymond's Instagram story.
Oh, man, these people done changed the locker room up in Cleveland. They must couldn't get that champagne smell out on 30.
Must have didn't get that champagne smell out. I always say you can be mean if you're funny. I think that's funny enough.
It was funny.
It was good. It
was funny.
I liked it.
Especially coming from a guy that, if he had not gotten suspended one of those years, maybe they'd be going for their fourth straight.
You don't know about that. You say that a lot, but you don't know that for a fact.
Well, I don't know that if Chris Paul gets injured, that they actually won the West last year.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of what ifs.
Things happen the way they happen.
Correct.
I have a couple questions about this video. So, am I to believe that is the refurbished visiting locker room in the Cleveland arena? Because that didn't exactly look like a plush surroundings. Are visiting locker rooms always kind of like cold and boring?
The visiting locker room in older arenas in particular is like JV versus varsity. Like it's distinguished that the home team has more space, bigger lockers, more showers, just more elbow room versus the visiting locker room, which used to more function like a closet.
See, I'm lucky enough to play some pickup basketball in Staples Center with you a couple times, and I've been in both the Clippers and the visiting locker rooms. Very different experiences. I was like, y'all put NBA players in here?
Yeah.
So, Jalen Rose, we play a lot of video on the show, and some video is so important. We need to really break it down like referees. So we're going to the table. We had the honor of having Meek Mill on the show a couple days ago.
Meek Millie!
And he came by. And then after the show, the producers of High Noon, my friends, remember Friends, said, how'd it go? I said, it went really well. The only thing I regret is the way the goodbye pound went between me and Meek. So they laughed about it a little bit. And then you know what they did? They pulled up the tape and made this video. Yeah. So he kind of...
He's chunky. He got two bracelets.
See how yours is so smooth? Look, I mean, it's embarrassing even to watch now.
So it's... Who's to blame for that handshake?
Who's to blame for the Meek Mill Jacoby handshake fail?
100% David Jacoby.
Oh, see, I mean... Are you
100%.
100%?
You're supposed to be able to do that blindfolded, in the dark.
What if I'm just not as cool as you? What if I'm not as cool as Meek Mill?
It's rhythm. It's time. You see how me and him, we had ours.
I don't have rhythm and timing.
You know what I mean?
Jalen, 100%?
Man, you want to hit your thumb? What you trying to hitchhike?
I want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast. Thank Deontay Wilder for coming through. Thanks Steve Harvey for being on the show. And we won't have a show tomorrow. We're preempted by something. Day off on Friday. We'll be back on Monday. 5 shows next week. 5 shows the week after that going into the holiday. We'll be back Monday. Why is that, KRS?
We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want. To this day. To this day.
Whether it's music or whiskey, in New Orleans, every note matters. And every sip of Southern Comfort dances to the same vibe as our birthplace. So drink it in. Southern Comfort, the spirit of New Orleans. Discover more at SouthernComfort.com.